could it actually be a mistake, giving him so much creative control?
Apple is probably the smartest choice you can make, quality over quantity.
Do you think you made Kelsier the main character for the first and second movies, or the first movie?
Let's go, Brandon!
All right, Earthlings, welcome back to the Thundering Dice channel with you boys, the Thundering Dice Brothers. And today we are looking out into the Cosmere with just one great hope to save fantasy on television. That is, of course, Brandon Sanderson is going to bring Mistborn and the Stormlight Archive to a screen near you through Apple TV. So...
We are excited.
How excited are we about this? How optimistic are we about this? How good do we think it is that he has as much control that he has? Or could it actually be a mistake, giving him so much creative control? And for the love of God, please let someone write the jokes and the dialogue for him.
Danger, danger, danger!
Yeah, okay, like, we're obviously very excited that Brandon Sanderson signed with Apple. Apple is probably the smartest choice you can make, quality over quantity. They definitely seem to have taken up the ethos that Netflix absolutely abandoned 10 years ago. So, right off the bat, Apple, very good choice. Now, Brandon Sanderson having this much creative control, whilst I like him having...
And I fully understand why he wants that full creative control after... Well, we'll get into that.
Yeah. So it makes 100% sense that he wouldn't sign with a company without this guarantee that he has that much control. But that being said, having this much control isn't necessarily a good thing either, because you can become blind in your own stories. And he wrote all these stories as novels, which does not translate into screenwriting ability.
However, thinking about movie, Mistborn, specifically the first book, I think is going to translate so well to the screen, because it's a heist, you know, so that's always fun.
Yep.
Always a good movie, or a good concept for a movie. And the fact that allomancy, the magic in Mistborn, spoilers ahead, guys, if you have only heard the announcement and have never read Mistborn, I guess. Mad spoilers for the books, but anyway, allomancy, you ingest some metal, you burn it, it gives you an ability. Oftentimes it's a physical ability, so like physics and, you know, consistent rules exist for all these powers. So it's really, it's going to be adaptable to screen because so much of it is moving, pushing, pulling, and they can show things like emotional allomancy very clearly, like people just becoming psychotically happy or completely depressed or whatever they're doing. There are good ways to show that on screen. You don't have to worry about animation and stuff like that. So that's going to be really well adaptable.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about like you know, steel pushing with the blue lines coming from your chest, going out to, you know, every piece of metal that you can push on. That's really easy. Copper clouds in this respect, that's also easy because, you know, like the metal itself has a specific color, so you can influence it that way and just like have it like settle on the person or whatever, like however you want to have it go. Yeah, like Mistborn is definitely like, and it's also a simple cast in this respect. I mean, like, I know there are multiple people.
It's an ensemble cast, but you got a couple main players.
Yeah. You have Kelsier, you have Dox, you have Vin, you have...
Ham.
Yeah, Ham. You have Elend, you have Marsh. I mean, technically he's not, like, the main character, but he is definitely a huge character. So, yeah, you have Sazed, or Seth, or however you want to pronounce his fucking name. So, yeah, you have, like, multiple people who are, like, super interesting and, you know, should work really, really well together in, like, a movie setting. And also then, since it is movie settings for Mistborn specifically, you don't have to worry about them getting too drawn into like the ball scenes or Kelsier having way too long of a montage of doing his, well, Kelsier hijinks, to be honest. So, you know, you have to like pare it down. Brevity is the soul of wit in this respect.
So do you think you made Kelsier the main character for the first and second movies, or the first movie and then it transfers over to Vin, sort of? Or because someone's going to probably end up being the focus of the films. Vin is obviously going to be a main one. Elend will be a big one. Kelsier, does it sort of start there and evolve into Vin and Elend probably towards the second and third movies?
That's what I would do, because you could also really like make that feeling of loss that much more appreciable to the audience when they are like, if Kelsier is the main character of the first movie and then when he dies, spoiler, Vin and Elend having to really pick up the pieces, you could make that really, really palpable on screen, where they themselves kind of don't know how to do it because, like they were relying. I mean, especially Vin, she's relying on Kelsier. He's like the mentor figure. And the thieving
crew. These are thieving crews. They're well organized. They're good friends and they're honorable people, but they're not. Well, Kelsier picks them well, and they fit into certain roles better than you'd expect. But from the outside looking in, obviously, they don't look, and they say this themselves, they're not politicians.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. So moving on from Mistborn, now, we could probably go to Wax and Wayne, but I think that's a whole separate thing that we don't know anything about yet.
Mistborn is for sure Wax and Wayne. Who knows if and when that will all happen. Stormlight is the other one, and that's going to be a TV show. And that's the one I'm nervous about.
Super nervous about.
Stormlight Archives is a great story, has a lot of real interesting moving parts.
A lot of, human interest stuff, too, which is good for screen. There's a lot of, personal dynamics, and there's a lot of politics, and the scope and depth and breadth of Roshar and the Shattered Plains makes it a good place to have an epic fantasy television show.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
But there is also a whole lot of pitfalls in Stormlight Archives. Mostly the character flaws, like Kaladin. He's really, really interesting, but he has the same power-up moment in every single book. He has the same weird PTSD that doesn't feel like PTSD. It feels more like whining in every single book that he has to, that swallows him up, and then he has to overcome over and over and over again.
It does get repetitive.
Absolutely repetitive. Shalyn is absolutely an
batshit.
She is just insane. It is really annoying. It just happens over and over and over again. He adds
and
more and more
personalities. And I don't see how it can get ever resolved. We'll see. I suppose. Obviously, we haven't finished the series yet.
Yeah.
And who knows what it's going to look like on television. But let's just think about the first book. I mean, the first book was probably my favorite of them. And maybe it's just because it was so epic and it was so new. That the Kaladin power-up moment was so... It just gives me goosebumps thinking about it, and it was so amazing at the time reading it. It's like one of those things you can just flip to that chapter and just totally get sucked in again, and just it's coming, but it's still such a great moment. It's such a good release moment because it's similar to when Rand has his Veins of Gold moment up at the top of Dragon Mount.
Yeah,
it's building all this anger and angst and awful things are finally building to a head, and either you overcome it or you die.
Yeah.
And Kaladin has exactly the same moment, and of course he says the words, explodes with lights, and does badass shit on the battlefield again, and it's so epic.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be so cool to see on screen.
Oh yeah, definitely. So those power up moments, those are gonna be excellent, but just how wide the world is of Roshar and how many other things get brought into it, like the Ghost Bloods when you want to call back to frickin' Mistborn. So you have intergalactic groups that are also in play in Roshar for Stormlight Archives. The character cast is huge. I mean, kind of on par with Wheel of Time in a different respect though, but this is a massive world that has multiple moving and interlocking parts, and giving everyone a semblance of the word time that they have in the books on screen is going to be extremely challenging. How much do you need to cut out? Because in my mind, half that book on all of those books are instantly cut out because you just don't have room for it. And that might be a good thing, because one of my criticisms for Stormlight Archive is they are way too long and rambling and self-indulgent. He could get to the point a lot quicker if his editors would tell him to move on. And I know he's been successful. Obviously not, denigrating any of his stories. $100 million raised on, self-raised through crowdfunding and stuff like that, then leading to this Apple deal. So, obviously, no shade, and I'm just, a little plebeian talking online who knows nothing in comparison to Brandon Sanderson's success. But
we love his books.
Yeah, we love his books. No, much love here. But it is a long-winded story, and Stormlight Archives, each individual book gets worse and worse in this respect. So this might actually be a good way to pare it down and keep the story tight.
The best thing that we can hope for is that he has the creative control to make sure that the story stays true to the story that he told already, the way he wants it done. But he's also wise enough to take criticism and to take advice from seasoned writers in the industry, because Apple TV does a good job with their writing and with what they choose to spend their money on and their time on. So let that be a little bit of a guiding star for you while you have that overarching control. Take the good advice where it is. Don't become too bogged down probably in the minute details.
Yeah.
When really the overarching story and the character development is what we really need to make sure stays consistent.
Yeah, and as my brother said at the very beginning of this video, get someone to help you with the dialogue, because that's where Brandon Sanderson kind of becomes clunky with his jokes. It's not always bad, and it's not like 100% of the time, but the peaks are pretty peaky, and yeah, you can definitely hear when you definitely know when the jokes don't hit, and it's like a 50-50 in my mind, where it either works or it doesn't. So definitely get someone to help you with the writing.
And I'm excited to see, the next steps. So we're gonna hear, casting and filming locations and time frames and all that fun stuff will be dope. And we'll get a trailer at some point, a teaser, and we'll be really excited to see that for you guys. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean, like, everything is riding on you, Sanderson, in this respect. Like, you were kind of like the last hope of fantasy on screen.
You have to nail this, because if this fails too, Rings of Power is dead to me. But we're gonna keep watching it, but it's trash so far.
Yeah,
we've got some Lord of the Rings IPs coming out that we already think are gonna be wastes of screen time. Mm-hmm. So let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. And on that note, we will see you guys next time. Like, comment, and subscribe, and give us much money on Patreon.
Gee, but it's grand.